name is Noland McCoy, and this is my farm. I farm approximately 250 acres. I was born and raised on this land. Originally, it started with my grandfather. I've always had an interest in farming. I had always said if I ever get an opportunity to farm, I would do it. I was raised by my grandparents, which they owned the land, owned the house. Every February, we would start our garden, and that was kind of the beginning of the farming operation. The garden consisted of a spot where he would take a shovel and we would spade it up, and he would say we're breaking the ground. And after that, he would work it in, get it tilled up real good, and we'd plant vegetables. We always had a garden, and I just loved it. My grandparents died in '81 and '86, and at that time I had started to work with the Department of Justice, and the land was here, and I said, well, I'll build a house out there, and eventually I'll get to do what I want to do. So I started out initially doing about 40 acres, and I was real happy with the end result, and I said, I'm gonna do 60 acres. And it kept getting a little bit bigger, and finally, with my job that I was doing, because I was working it as well, that's about all I could handle. My working relationship with AgHeritage is wonderful. I can't remember exactly the year, but I'm gonna say it's been approximately 20 years or better. And I was nervous about going because I had never went for a loan, and I'm thinking when you talk about a loan in farming, you're talking about a big loan. And I think initially I may have borrowed $10,000, and I couldn't sleep that night when I was thinking I owe $10,000, I'm in debt, $10,000. I think about what my grandparents had told me, don't ever bite more than you can chew, and mainly don't get into a lot of debt, So I always keep my operation where if I decide to quit tomorrow, I can quit, and it won't be a problem. But after the first year, I made it back, paid my loan, and said, well, I'll try it again next year. So I continued to do that, and every year it got better and better, and to the point I didn't even think about the $10,000. Because of the agency that I work with, I'm not really allowed to, to say specific, but just say with the Department of Justice. I started out in 1979, just kind of doing general clerical work in an office, and as it progressed on, I got into photography and video. That took me a little bit further where I got into CSI type investigations. And so I retired in 2017 with 38 years, 3 months, and 3 days. Today I'm farming right at about 250 acres, and it's about the right amount because I've retired and I just want to have something to get up to, for each day. I've always been one that gets up early, so my typical day on the farm, as soon as the sun is coming through the blinds, I'm creeping out to bed outside. And it's just good to walk out and see the sunshine, to hear the birds chirping, to look out at nature and just to thank the good Lord for what He's blessed you with. And as I start my day, it's just like, I just can't wait for the sun to come up, because anybody that has worked on a farm knows that there's always something to do. The one favorite thing about AgHeritage particularly is the relationship and the availability, being there for the farmer. As a partnership, if we're both going the same direction, then we're gonna do what we need to do to get there. I always look forward to paying my loan back at the end of the year before I do anything else, because if I owe you, it's your money. And I believe in paying my debts and not having stuff hanging over. And so that's kind of how, and I think because of the relationship that I've had with AgHeritage and the being able to pay my loans and doing what I've had, it's not a problem as far as my financial needs. And I can tell you for sure today, it's not $10,000, it's a lot more than that. But I have no problem. And I also think about even the process of getting a loan, where before you had to go through a lot of paperwork. The relationship is now where, I pretty much tell them what my needs are, they fill it out, I go sign the papers, and it's a done deal. The patronage checks have been wonderful. My wife used to didn't pay attention to those checks, and now she knows every last one of them that comes in, so she's like, I said, well, why you didn't open the advertisement check? And she said, this is an AgHeritage patronage check, and I know what that is. I said, well, that's for farming. She said, yes, it is, but it's for the household also. So we joke and play about that, but it's a good thing to receive that. I've always thought that, if you do the right thing on your part, your banking or financing institution will do what they can do to help you, and that's been the relationship with AgHeritage.